The second part of my answer is that the VA does ration its health care. There is a budgetary issue. And so not every veteran who's ever worn the uniform gets access to the VA health care, although that is the promise that's made to you when you enlist, that if you are injured, you're going to get that. If you are ill, you will get that care. The VA does not have enough money to take care of all of its veterans, so they actually give every veteran a number rating between 1 through 8. If you're like me, very obvious combat wounded, you're a 1. A 1 can get in and get an appointment usually within 1 or 2 months of when you request an appointment at the VA. An 8 can still go in and request an appointment, but I talked to a gentleman, a Vietnam veteran who's a field artilleryman, fired big guns. He wanted a hearing test because he was reaching his mid-60s and he's starting to have some hearing loss, and goes, I was in the field artillery for... Is that what you did? There you go. Yep. And he wanted to go in and get a hearing test because he thought he might be needing a hearing aid. They gave an appointment in 24 months. If you have to wait 24 months for a hearing test, I propose to you that that is the same as not having access to health care.
And I accept your proposal.
Can you talk about anything that was in the Dole-Shalala report that had to do with state health care for veterans?
They did not really address state-level health care. It was really looking at the federal level and the fact that there is a lack of partnership between the federal VA and the federal DOD. I'll give you an example. The federal VA and the federal DOD have for the last 3 years been negotiating an information memorandum of agreement for 3 years, and they still have not come to an agreement between two federal agencies to share information on the war wounded between the DOD and the VA. So a soldier could be injured, and the DOD feels no need to tell the VA about that soldier, and vice versa. So if there's not even an agreement between two federal agencies, you can see where we stand at the state level trying to access information. I have no way of knowing when a service member who is not a National Guardsman comes home to Illinois. National Guard, because Governor Blagojevich is the commander-in-chief, I can access them once they come off of federal orders. I have to wait until they're off of federal orders, but then I can access them. But a young man or woman from El Paso, Illinois, living a long way from any military facility, from any VA facility, enlists after high school, goes off, serves his or her 8 years, 6 years, decides to come home, doesn't want to, serve an honorable tour. The Army gives him his plane ticket home. He comes home. I have no way of knowing that person has come home. Nobody will tell me that he's come home. Where neither the VA nor the DOD will tell me that he's come home. The first time I find out about a lot of these guys is when they have been self-medicating for PTSD and they end up with a DUI, and the state police gives me a call and goes, hey, we got another one of yours. Why don't you take care of him before he gets into too much more trouble? He ends up homeless. He ends up in some social service agency. That's the first time I hear about him. If I could know about him right when he's coming home, if I just got a letter, an email says, hey, Illinois soldier coming home, why don't you have one of your service officers go meet him? We have 51 offices, 74 service officers in 51 offices. I will send one of our state of Illinois employees to go sit at his kitchen table. What do you need? Do you need a job? Do you need housing? What do you need? We're here for you. I have no way of knowing about that because federal level will not give the state that information. It's a real frustration. Senator? They're citing HIPAA.
I just want to say thank you to Director Duckworth. I chair the State Government and Veterans Affairs in the Senate, and she's absolutely right. This administration and the Military Affairs Office here with the state has been so involved. We have had so many pieces of wonderful legislation to protect our young men and women that serving or coming back from serving. We presently just had signed into law a task force that's going to be looking at the re-entry of our young men and women coming back, going into civilian life. And over this past Veterans Holiday, I had the opportunity to speak to at least 4 or 5 different groups and communities out here. And one of the things that I think and as Director indicated, we as citizens, every night we should think about how many homeless. I was amazed at how many and the number, and as this past weekend as I traveled about through central Illinois, that issue is very, very prevalent. It's much more than what you think. And so it's something that I think we every night should think about, that as they return home, there's a lot that are not going to have a home, and we should think about that. So again, I know that our next legislative session, if we ever finish the one that we have, the next session will be starting in January, and I'm sure that Director Duckworth and the agency, she's done an outstanding job, but that's because she's been there, she knows what it means, and she is not afraid to let all of us that serve on our Veterans Commission and committee in the Senate know what she feels. She brings that legislation in, her staff does, and again, I want to say thank you to everyone that works in the office there with them, because any time that we call, they're there, they respond back, because many of us may not realize, but a lot of our men and women come from central Illinois, and it's an opportunity for them, as Director says, for them to do educational benefits, and I think the state of Illinois provides I think we're the only state that provides outstanding educational benefits, right?
Yes, ma'am. The Illinois Veterans Grant provides 128 credit hours. Other states provide educational benefits. I don't know any of the other states do it to the extent that we do. 128 credit hours towards any secondary education, whether you want a technical CDL license or a PhD,
Right.
and it does not expire over the course of your lifetime.